So this is another little add-on which I'm going to attach. This is an air fuel gauge. Now this is important if we're planning to try and get a bit more out of the iMap, because obviously we need to know if you're adjusting the fuel level if the bike is running too rich or too lean, and this will tell you. Now you can buy these in the UK about 50-60 quid. This one came from AliExpress in China. It cost about 20 quid delivered, and it seems alright. You've got 3 wires. One goes to a wire off the O2 sensor, which I've still to work out which one it is, but we'll sort that out. The black goes to the neutral on the battery, and the red goes to the ignition switch, so it comes on when the bike starts. So we're going to wire all that up at some point to come. Now what I'm going to do with this, because this is 20 quid, I'm a bit concerned about its waterproof capabilities, and as it does rain occasionally in Scotland, what I think I might do is silicone round the edges and possibly round the inside as well, just very lightly. Also on the back here you've got holes where the wires come out, and this hole here and a centre one. These are going to need covered up and siliconed as well. And then I'm also going to make a bracket. Now what I'm thinking of is a small bracket which goes onto here and then attaches to one of the nuts coming off the base of the COSO gauge, which basically would sit next to the gauge. You could even put a cable tie around here around the COSO gauge. I mean, it's not something that's going to be on all the time. If we can get the bike working at optimum speed and optimum efficiency, then we don't need this anymore. So it doesn't have to be too permanent. So I'm also going to paint it black because the rest of the bike and the gauges are black, and the white's going to stand out like a sore thumb, so I'll probably just paint it black as well. So that's it. Air fuel gauge from AliExpress, cost about 20 quid delivered, carrying out a few little refinements to it, and then we'll see about mounting it on the bike. So a couple of hours later, it's now black to match the bike. We've got a bracket attached, and it's all siliconed on the back, so those holes are all covered up and the wire's secured as well. So next we're just ready to attach it and see if it does anything. So I don't know how clearly you can see this, but what I've done here is I've run my little wiring loom off the ignition power cable, and I've got 4 adapters attached to it. One is going to the air fuel gauge, one is going to the COSO gauge, and I've got 2 spare for any sort of future ideas that may spring to mind. So hopefully that will work. It gives me the ability to add things on in the future, maybe like proper underboard lights, that kind of thing. So that's the gauge mounted. Sits next to the COSO there, quite firm. So I'm not wired it into the O2 sensor yet because I'm not quite sure which wire to use. I need somebody to come back to me and just double check that. But what we can do is power it up and see if it works. Anyway, see if the power comes on. So that's the air fuel gauge wired in, turned on. Looks quite smart actually. Now all we've got to do is attach it to the O2 sensor, and we should be in business. Okay, so we're now going to wire up the air fuel gauge to the wire that comes out of the O2 sensor. Now I could run a wire all the way back to the exhaust, but I've decided to take the quick approach and just wire it directly into where the wire comes into the ECU. Now the wire I think it is an orange and black wire coming out the grey coupler. Now I need to let the engine warm up to see if this is going to work, and I can't really do that this evening because it's quite late now. We don't want to annoy the neighbours. So this is the wire from the air fuel gauge going to the black and orange wire coming out the grey coupler. And if that doesn't work, we'll try something else. As you can see, it's really fiddly to get into, so I just used the solder thing to strip some of the plastic off and bound the wire around it. Not probably as recommended, but it'll do the job. Okay, so this is just a quick catch-up video on the air fuel gauge, which you will see here now mounted and now operational. The cable was the orange and black one that goes to the ECU. Somebody online suggested it might be the white. It's not, it was the orange and black. Thanks to my friend in Dunfermline, Scooty Man, who yet again called it right. and we could get that set up last night. Now, one of the reasons I was initially confused is because you wire it up, you switch it on, and nothing happens. And I thought, oh well, it must be the wrong cable, or you know, the gauge is not working, it's only a cheap one. But of course, what I didn't know, and what I was put right on, was you have to allow the O2 sensor to warm up before it starts reading, because it's creating a very small voltage when it does that, and that's what's allowing the gauge to detect whether you're running rich or running lean. So when I was told that, that was fine. So you have to run the bike for maybe 2 or 3 minutes before the temperature will be enough to create the voltage that allows the gauge to work. So I've used the gauge to run this morning, and I'm using the gauge now. I don't know how well you can see it because the light's not very good, but it's quite a bright day here. Anyway, what did it show? Well, it shows that when the bike is at idle, the bike is running rich, which you would probably expect anyway, and isn't particularly a problem. It's when I up the throttle to full throttle, it's running very lean, and this could be the reason why we're not getting the power out of the engine we should be. So what we're looking for, if I keep the throttle sort of half on, you know, toddling along mid-20s, we're running just as we are just about now, about optimal. But it's running lean when you try and increase the revs and increase the power. So what we're going to have to look to do when we get the cable for the iMap is we need to basically write a map that's going to increase the fuel at higher revs, so that we're not running lean when we try and put the accelerator on. And I think this is probably why we're not gaining the power that really we know this engine is capable of. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Obviously there'll be a lot more about the air fuel gauge once the cable arrives to start work on the iMap, and see if we can have a look at what that's actually doing. Hopefully it's working and doing something. And that should be in Scotland any day now. It's a friend of mine, Scooty Man again, up in Dunfermline, who's buying that, because in return I'm going to give him the spare iMap I have, which is a fair deal. So yeah, once we get the cable, once we get the laptop attached to the bike, we can start to see, you know, get the readings of of what the iMap's actually doing, and then we can actually write our own maps, which will allow us to increase the fuel level at a higher rev. So that should free up the engine. It might just be as simple as that. Probably won't be, but it might be. So that's all. I don't point in me sitting here blathering on. You've seen this run home plenty of times, so it's just to tell you it's now installed, it's now working, and just a couple of tips if you're planning to put one on for, you know, tuning purposes or anything else. So that's it, guys. Thanks for that. Any questions, drop me a line. I'll do my best to answer. Like and subscribe is always much appreciated, and I shall see you with probably more, particularly tuning videos, I would imagine, coming up soon, and anything else I'm considering doing. So that's it, guys. Thanks again for watching. Ride safely and all the best wherever you are. Cheers now.